Macmillan Audio presents The Borgia Confessions by Alyssa Palombo. Read for you by Tim Campbell and Eva Kaminsky. Prologue. Cesare. Rome, August 1484. The day I learned of my father's plans for me, I was but 9 years old. In many ways it was my first memory to take firm root. I remember other days, ones in the nursery with my younger siblings, countless mock sword fights with one who always cried to our nurse when he lost, little Lucrezia, showing me each of her duels, and lessons, endless lessons in endless languages, as well as in mathematics, philosophy, history, politics, and geography. However, these memories do not hold the same cold, cutting clarity. From then on, the memories of my childhood would take on a different cast, as though viewed in a darkened room. That day was the first memory of a young man who was no longer a boy. It may be telling that this crucial piece of information was gained by subterfuge. I had gotten into the custom of eavesdropping on my parents during my father's visits. After coming to see us in the nursery, he would adjourn to one of the sitting rooms in my mother's palazzo, where she would have a meal laid out and they would have a long, private conversation. Eager to hear what was said about me, I had begun to secretly listen in, only to be disappointed. Most of their talk was idle gossip about people in Roman society whom I did not know, or talk of Vatican politics I did not yet understand, though I did ascertain that several very favourable reports of my progress and lessons were given to my father, much to his approval and my secret pride. But on the day in question, I finally heard something of interest, and I would almost instantly regret it. I tried to steal quietly out of the nursery to follow my parents, but Lucrezia, even at the age of 4, missed nothing. "Cesare," she called, poking her head out into the hallway. "Where are you going?" "Shh," I hushed her. "I'm going to follow father and mother." She stepped out into the hall, clutching one of her ever-present dolls tightly. Her golden ringlets fell unrestrained past her shoulders. "Why?" I sighed. "I want to hear what news father has," I said. "I want to hear too," she answered immediately, her eyes shining. She adored our father without reserve. I sighed again, knowing that taking a 4-year-old on what I considered a daring espionage mission would not aid me in remaining undetected. Yet I could deny my little sister nothing. "Very well, if you promise to be very, very quiet." She nodded vigorously, her curls bouncing. I took her hand and led her through the halls to the sitting room where our parents usually closeted themselves. My mother, Vanozza, was no longer Cardinal Borgia's mistress by this time, the meaning of which I was only beginning to grasp, and was rather happily married to Giorgio di Croce, the secretary to His Holiness Pope Sixtus IV. But my parents maintained an easy and affectionate friendship, and were firmly united in their ideas of how their children ought to be raised. As we approached the door, I could hear my mother's low voice, my father's louder rumble. "He cannot last much longer," my father was saying. Turning to Lucrezia, I put my finger to my lips. She nodded again, minding her promise. I crept closer to the door, and she pressed close behind me. "If you think you can," I heard my mother say. "I mean to become Pope at this conclave, Vanozza," my father said. The words took me by surprise, though they should not have. I was no fool, and my penchant for eavesdropping meant that most of my father's ambitions were known to me. But the finality, the conviction in his words, made me understand in a way I never had before. My father could become the Pope, the leader of all Christendom, the sacred and somewhat distant figurehead of Rome. I stole a glance at Lucrezia. Her large grey-blue eyes were wide with wonder, but bless her, she made not a sound. "I've been waiting for this moment for years."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?